Hello guys and welcome back. Today I'm breaking down the Campo Santo quarterly review where several of Telltale's game developers shed some light on their work with Gearbox and their game. Link to the full website down in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. And with that, I'll get right into it. So here's a quick background on the people mentioned in today's video. First is Adam Saracen. He's the producer / executive producer on episodes 1 through 5 of Tales from the Borderlands. Laura Bailey is also mentioned. She is the voice of Fiona. Nick Herman is the season director and director of episodes 1 and 5. Anthony Birch, he was the lead writer for Borderlands 2 and contributing writer on Tales from the Borderlands. So first quote comes from Adam Saracen. He says, "The hope was, with Fiona and Rhys, we wanted to essentially hand back to Gearbox fully fleshed out, heroic characters that they could then use in Borderlands 3 and beyond." Laura Bailey says, "I had no idea. I would have been more nervous had I known it could lead to potential future games as well." Anthony Birch then says, quote, "I really hope they show up in some way." And Laura Bailey finishes with, "I think she is fully ready to go for it." Awesome. So just breaking down all that, Telltale always had in mind that they wanted to send these characters back to Gearbox, which is actually really hopeful, and I feel like a lot of people in the community, including me, just always assumed that these characters would transfer between Gearbox and Telltale back and forth depending on seasons or games, just because the fans did like these characters and they were fleshed out a lot more than the normal characters we get to see in the main games. And it was a lot more than just echo logs that you have to find, and the majority of people don't even find. So I'm totally fine with Telltale if they do want to send these characters to Gearbox, and I hope Gearbox does pick these characters up to kind of prove that, yes, Borderlands is more than just guns, the cel-shaded art style, and humor, witty humor. It can also have a story and characters that you care about and decisions and a lot more involvement by the player, which I think going forward is actually really good for the series, and I hope they capitalize on it. Next thing we're going to be talking about is the commercial success of the game, or lack thereof. So Nick Herman says, "At this point, the sales for Tales from the Borderlands weren't great. They were decent. It's not like we are losing money, but compared to something like The Walking Dead, it wasn't on the same level. The mentality was, we've got to wrap this season up quick because we need to move on to some other things, and we're holding on to staff, and it didn't. I couldn't let go and let the season just end, either abruptly or not pay off the things we were setting up." Adam Saracen says, "I was in a ton of meetings scraping to see who we could get. Who could stay on the project for an additional week, an additional 2 weeks, to get this thing done. By the end, it was a very small team wrapping up the episode and getting it polished and out the door." The episode, from a production standpoint, was one of the largest episodes Telltale has ever made to this day, because of how branchy it is in the final sequence and all the stuff that we pay off, because we blow up Hyperion, which was another thing that we had to clear with Gearbox. They were open to that, but then we had to actually do it. Blow up a space station, which was of a scale we hadn't done before at Telltale. About halfway through, Nick Herman says, "We made a deal with the studio that let us go on. We would give up like 95% of our staff as long as they let us maintain a skeleton crew. We had at least one person from every department working on the game, but that's a very small team for an episode. At a certain point, I even think Pierre had to be pulled off." Okay, so recapping all that, the finale for Tales from the Borderlands was one of the most expensive budgets that Telltale has ever used on a game. They were also learning to blow up a space station and create these huge effects that they'd never done before. Gearbox also probably was pressuring them and kind of leads the story to their own way that they want, either accepting or denying a lot of different branches. But just kind of wrapping all this up, the fact that Tales from the Borderlands didn't do great when Borderlands, which is a huge established franchise, and Telltale is a huge established game company, both of them coming together, you think they'd be the perfect match, and also showing what I have mentioned before, that Borderlands can actually be a story. It can have in-depth characters, it can have a lot more than just guns. Even if it wasn't a commercial success, I think it's in people's minds is Borderlands can do this, and moving forward, they can write better stories, they'll keep improving. Telltale at least set the bar high for Gearbox to try to fill. The gameplay's there for Gearbox, they know how to do that, but the story has always been lacking, and A lot of people, even a lot of the complaints with the pre-sequel was it wasn't a memorable enough story. Everyone that did play this game, Tales from the Borderlands, they do remember the story, they can name the story, it stays with them and continues to stick with them. So it does kind of suck that this is partly the reason why Season 2 wasn't announced for Tales from the Borderlands, but I hope at least that Gearbox will then take Rhys and Fiona, work them into Borderlands 3 somehow, and then establish the characters in a main franchise, and then if Telltale wants to take them back after Borderlands 3 to do a Season 2, a lot more of the main franchise fans will jump over to Telltale. That will set up the game perfectly, bring a lot of fans over, people will jump back to Season 1. That's what I think. What do you guys think about all this? Do you think that the Telltale characters should jump over to Gearbox's main franchise? Did you just always assume they would? How do you feel about the game not being a commercial success? Did you own Tales from the Borderlands? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.